one might not be wrong in the belief that more often than not, citizens of any nation will blame their various challenges on their leaders. No doubt, Nigerians are not an exception to this. And indeed, citizens are entitled to hold government at all levels accountable. Certainly, we all want to enjoy the dividends of our growing democracy, and the majority of Nigerians will perhaps subscribe to the idea of demanding their rights and privileges as promised by elected leaders while on their campaign trails. However, when we talk about good governance, is it the sole responsibility of government, that's leadership now, to provide this? Can leadership do it alone? Can the nation thrive in such circumstances? Now, on this edition of Nigeria Today, these are some of the pointers we'll be looking at as we examine the topic, good governance and the role of the citizen. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu. Yes, my guests are already seated. I would like to examine this topic together. Let's welcome Comrade Okpoku. Again, he is the Director of Media and Publicity of Good Governance Ambassadors of Nigeria. Gogen Fosha. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Also in the studio is Mr. Chris Agiri. He's the Director General of Flag Foundation. Good to have you back on the program because I know we've talked about issue of citizens and all the likes on one of our other programs anyway. Welcome to the program all the same.
Thank you very much.
Now, when we talk about good governance, emphasis mainly on transparency of the leadership, accountability from the leadership. Do the followers, that means the other citizens of the nation, do they have a role to play at all? How responsive should they be? Comrade, let's start with you.
Thank you very much. From the Good Governance Ambassadors of Nigeria, I would like to say good evening once again to Nigerians. Citizens, Nigeria's citizens are the worst citizens in terms of demanding for good governance. I will quickly run to my own town, the Otukpo city of Benue State. Recently, just a week ago, I left the community. The condition of bad road became a part of the community. That inside the Otukpo town, the road linking Otukpo to Enugu and other part of the world is being cut off. And when we put it on the social media, some persons began to call that this will be used as a campaign strategy against the former Senate president, that it is his whole town. It therefore means that Nigerians, the followers, the citizens, have totally given up to primordial sentiment, tribal sentiment, religious sentiment, instead of concentrating on the demand for good governance. Citizens have a lot of role to play. Thank you very much.
All right, for this participatory role for citizens, how strong have we been able to carry through? From time, let's even say, tracing back to when democratic process started in 1999. How strong have we been able to march on that path? Sagiri.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. First, let me commend NTA for bringing up such a topic at this point, political evolution, where citizens are expected to be functional, active, coming alive to the duties and responsibilities for citizenship, good governance. It's a common saying that good citizenship, good followership begins good leadership.
Certainly.
In other words, the leadership that will provide good governance are thrown up from the citizens, from the society. So if there is something fundamentally wrong with the society, with the followership, with the citizenship, that will manifest. In fact, the manifestation will be through the leadership, because the complete language that says garbage in, garbage out. And from independence, Nigerians, to a large extent, have been docile, naive, gullible to those duties and responsibilities for citizenship. These are fundamental duties, fundamental rules expected from the citizens. You have a right to ask questions. You have a right and a privilege under the Constitution. You have a duty and obligation to the society. Let us look at the traditional African society. When I was growing up, I don't, when this one will talk about dividends of democracy. I don't know how. My father was a councillor shortly after the war. It was his duty to collect rents and taxes and remit to the government treasury, the local government headquarters there, keeping the village, maintaining peace, maintaining law and order. Social justice was almost the sole responsibility of each and everybody, every person, everybody that subscribed to that society. I mean, fundamentally, like the social contract, you have a role to play. And that was how peace was being kept in the society.
So what inspired citizens of those yesteryears in giving themselves for leadership, for governance, in all its entirety? What is different today? Why is it different today?
Yes, the question was a question of consciousness. This time I'm talking about probably immediately after the war, when I was still a little boy. My parents, having probably gone through the independence era, the agitation for independence, the quest to free yourself from colonial bondage, eventually the civil war, their minds were agitated. There was consciousness. And so I grew up, I grew up, through my primary and secondary school days, I grew up with the influence of, the deposits of national consciousness. I was made to understand that I, as a citizen, I have a role, a duty, a responsibility, to the society. But what we see these days is this: everything is being channeled, all accusations, all demands are towards the government. Who, indeed, is the government in question? It is you and I. As my bros here, the comrade, probably may contest. It's possible he becomes the governor. In the next situation, he may be a senator. He becomes the leader from whom good governance is expected. Where is he coming from? As a follower, as a citizen. If he's not grounded, if he was not never a good follower, he will not be a good leader. He was not conscious of his duties and responsibilities to the society. The output as a leader, you will see it's going to be failure. Compare it to what we are seeing today. All the blames, channeled towards the government, towards the political leaders, which increases the political elite, the civil society, the public servants and the civil servants. No, where were they coming from?
All right.
Where were they coming from?
Now, comrade, for us as a people, these people are there in trust for us. Holding this position is trust for us.
Yes.
That shows that whatever it is, we've laid it upon them that we must demand that.
Yes.
Why have we failed to be inspired to demand what we have put in trust?
That is where I beg to disagree with Chris. Since 1960, Nigerians have not been able to demand for good governance. The few activists that were on the street shortly after the Nigerian independence, the likes of Delegua, the likes of King Sarowewa, who were later assassinated by unusual means. If you also check through their own background, these are people who made wealth secretly from their agitation. They were actually not agitating truly for the right of the people. So Nigerians have not been able to demand for good governance. If you check it, military intervention, during the military era, there were minimal agitations, minimal demand for good governance at all levels. And in the few democratic intervention between the military rules and the rest, you also agree with me that almost everything was based on tribal or religious sentiment. Now, the citizens, as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is my duty to see that the government I elect provided the needed democratic dividends to my own community. But today, when you wake up in the morning, you go to a politician's house, you see more than 50 persons. All of them have one or two personal interests. You go to the offices, you see these same people. Politicians go to functions, you see these people crowding them. It's even another way of encouraging corruption in the system and burying good governance. For example, the people who comes out to demand for personal interest or personal material things for the politicians may not be bold to go to the street to demand for good governance. The politicians have also lost sense, in the sense that on a daily basis they keep receiving praise singing from the followers, even when you have not done anything. I don't really want to mention it.
Isn't that
yes.
our own cross now, Superior? Because if we know what we're supposed to do as a people, if we know our own duty, our own responsibility, what we ought to demand from ourselves first, then how do we make demand of the leaders? So where is the greatest problem now? Followership.
The problem is followership. And I must insist that it's followership. It's not even the government. Check out the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. The government has made it so tight for those who are interested in looting the treasury to even find the minimal one to steal. But instead of Nigerians to applaud the government, we rather criticize it. That things are hard. Things are hard. Things are hard. That your salaries are not being paid at the level. Hard. You have not been paid. You get it. So instead of Nigerians to applaud the present administration of the Buharis, based on the policies of anti-corruption, policies of fund recovery, policies of reclaiming the integrity of this nation, Nigerians are busy criticizing. If you go, President Muhammadu Buhari today is the most this government is the most criticized government in the world.
Okay,
it's based on the fact that the citizens have failed on its responsibility to demand for good governance. For example, sorry, madam, when you say for 16 years, a group of persons under a political platform has stolen everything that belongs to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you see a man coming to bring all together to make a life better for you in the future.
Yes. So the subject matter.
Okay, the subject matter now is, do we have a crisis of followership of that is for us to demand good governance too? So which is what we are both tabled.
That's
crisis
right.
of followership,
yes.
good followership,
yes.
to engender good governance. Now, let us begin to pin down, even from the family levels, to,
yes.
or before we even get to that height.
Yes.
How have we found ourselves to this level, the bottom level? Let's begin to pin down some of those areas that we are feeling as followers.
Look, we must be conscious of the fact that there's a sort of general failure in terms of the moral fabrics of a society, and these are the breaks, these are the enlightenment, these are the empowerments that enables the citizen to ask questions. Asking your leader questions, to some extent, criticizing your leader does not amount to sabotage. As a matter of fact, if we're talking about good followership, the role of the follower, if you don't ask your leader questions, he will just believe as if everything is right and he goes highway. Some of our political leaders don't even like hearing the truth. If you narrow it down to the present administration, I am not an insider. Certainly there are challenges that the government, faces, more especially when you come to changing leadership from one political party to another and all that. If you even look at it, narrow it down to issues in the world, involving evolutionary issues, government faces lots of challenges. For the citizenship to buy in to the challenges that government faces, which is in other words supporting the government, the government also have to have a duty and a role to make the citizens to understand that this and this and this are the true situations, the true positions that we face.
Okay.
And that because the citizen who is not aware of his duties, of his responsibilities.
So awareness now is one key point.
Oh yes, of course. Yes.
Okay, we'll go on the break now. When we return, how aware are the citizens of some of these responsibilities, their duties to the path for good governance? All some of this we'll be finding out after this break. You're watching Nigeria Today, and our focus is on good governance and the role of the citizen. We'll take a break now. We'll be right back.
Do you think it's right for us to always lash out at the government for every single one of these problems?
I think it's right in a way, because in every situation you blame the head. Just like in the father of the house, once anything goes wrong, you tend to blame the father. So the government is the head, so you tend to blame the government.
Everything is not just the government. You and I have a part to play, not just the government. We have duties, we have responsibilities.
For me, I do not think Nigerians complain too much. I think we are people who tolerate a lot from the government. You have heard of countries where people go out, set themselves on fire because they want to tell the government that what you are doing is not right. But here, we just talk and we move on. I think we should begin to back our talk with actions.
Well, cross-section of Nigerians, they're talking about good governance and the role of the citizen. Now, my guests are still seated, and we'll take a look at one aspect that we talked about just before the break. Issue of awareness of the citizen, the role, the responsibility. Of course, we know of the popular saying about the American president, you think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Now, one aspect you heard from the respondent there is that we tolerate too much. That means we're so used to some things that it now become a norm.
Yes.
Where do we stand?
Well, yeah, because we're not aware. There's lack of awareness. There's a wide gap between the government and the people. The people oftentimes are not even aware what government is doing.
But communication is still going on. So what is it that we're not understanding there?
What we mean, even when we talk about communication, what message, beyond the social media, it behoves on government to articulate a channel of communication through trusted means, the schools, the churches, the mosques, the market associations, the town criers, to make people understand this is the true situation. Government should also be truthful to the citizens. There's no need hiding. I mean, a father should be able to tell the children that this is the true position of things, whether they like to hear it or not. And then, by so doing, you will endear them the expected support that you will need from the buy-in that you require from the followership will be easily be made available. So that's the truth. You know, ours is a bit complex because you have political oppositions, you have political interests that are personally.
What is complex in people understanding what they should demand from themselves?
Yes.
Then they can put it before the leadership. Comrade.
Yes. In this, we come to the conclusion that the civil society has failed in its responsibilities. It is not fully the duty of government to educate Nigerians about their rights and how to demand for good governance.
So who should do this education?
Civil society.
Alone?
Yes, no.
Civil society.
No. Civil society.
When I was growing up, I graduated. I never heard anything about
when we talk
society.
about civil society,
This is developing.
no, let me tell you. No, we talk about
civil society.
when we talk about civil society.
Okay.
We talk about non-governmental organizations,
Yes.
NGOs.
I never heard anything
Wait,
about
no,
such.
listen. Then you were not properly being taught that time. Because at that
give me an
time,
example of
see, let me tell you this: civil society organizations have been
30 years ago.
organized. If civil society organizations,
we should not.
if you check America,
We're going to take one hand after the other.
the rights,
to civil
see,
society organizations,
the human rights system in America,
from our side.
the good governance, demand for good governance. Sorry, even in America, we talk about 311, then the open 311, a channel which citizens demand for good governance. So these were put together by not just government, but civil society organizations, people of like minds, who say, yes, we must demand of government of this and this which will be done. For example, if you are coming to me to campaign, you come with your manifesto, I should be able to hold you accountable. That you came and you told me I'm going to do 5 things, and now you have not been able to do 2. So why? I get what I'm saying? And I should also enforce it on you to do it, because I voted for you because of the promises you have made.
Okay, so
these are some of the things Nigerians are supposed to be demanding. Now, the role of the civil society in this form is to sensitize, educate the people. That is why we have awareness
So are you
campaign.
saying they're not doing that enough?
The civil society in Nigeria has been commercialized.
Indeed.
Yes.
That's the topic for another
That's the topic.
place.
Okay, Mr. Gray.
Let's not forget where we're coming from. We are Africans. Well, by the end of this month, our independence will have been 58 years old. If you juxtapose what is happening here and what goes on in America, it's almost a 250 years civilization. We miss the bank. Government still remains until tomorrow. The father that shows the direction. If we say the government is failing its duties, the duty is to educate the citizens. You are here today, you're asking questions. For me, for once, I'm asking questions because I've come to know.
Mr. Gray, what kind of questions should we begin to ask from this moment on? Because, hold on, gentlemen. Yeah. What I'm asking, it's been said that we are generally a society of complainers, and attitude starts with us.
Yes.
We don't demand of ourselves first, but we want to, okay, more, it's easier said than done. That's usually you point one finger at the other person, the remaining four are pointing towards you. Why has that attitude of doing it first the way we want to see it done with ourselves, but looking for where to pass the buck? Much
of the complaint we're experiencing today is because the social media, the means of information, that's available, people are becoming more aware, people are becoming less self-sufficient, that everybody looks up to government. Then, where government comes in, actually, is educating the people, informing the people, raising the consciousness of the people, understanding that you are a member of this society, and you have a role, a duty, before God, before the society itself, before yourself and your family, to contribute to the well-being of that society.
So how can we achieve this direct participation?
Achieving this direct participation, just as the topic implies, the role of the citizen. We're talking about the citizens' participation in good governance.
Yes.
Demanding for that which is needed to move the nation forward. Now, in your organization, you should be able to take up awareness campaign, go to the hinterland, the rural areas, talk to people, tell them.
Body, traditional institutions, do they have a role to play in those ones?
Yes, they have. Traditional rulers, the traditional institutions, the local market women association, the farmer associations, they have every role to play. The first primary learning is from the family, the peer group, school, before you come to leadership.
Have all this been able to stand the test of time to shape the good?
That is where we are failing. You will see your daughter of 10 years old walking almost half naked, and you call it fashion. So it therefore means she may grow up wearing pants when she's 20, 22. That is where we have found ourselves. So we have failed to impart into our generation.
In terms of the moral aspect of
it.
But on the other hand, we are looking at the good governance. We are looking at it as a structure of government and the followership. There are certain fundamentals required in nation building. All we're talking about. First, strengthening a sense of we that will enable us buy into this vision, this entity.
We, the people of Nigeria.
We, the people of Nigeria. Yes, strengthening it, not in letters, in action.
What about strong institutions?
I'm coming. Second, strong institutions, by the way. But then next to that is the development of the human person, the citizens, members of that society. Their mental, spiritual, intellectual, social, cultural development.
We bring those back to awareness.
Of course, which enables us to, which increases our level of rational abilities, sense of judgment. That, for example, you get to the traffic.
Can we work this out?
Of course, we have no option than to go back to these fundamentals. He challenged my organization. Well, you are a witness. The Flag Foundation of Nigeria, what we do. Oftentimes, people, when they talk about the Flag Foundation, we're not just talking about the flag, the green, white, green, promoting respect for the flag. We use the flag, the national flag, as a means of communication. First, looking at the kindergarten, the nursery, primary, secondary school, pupils. Then, indoctrinating them, making them those duties and responsibilities for citizenship, reawakening, reigniting their national consciousness, their membership of the society that we're living in.
This vision,
and enabling them to buy in, to be part of that.
I'm running out of this discussion now. Is this vision feasible?
Oh, yes.
This vision of good
yes.
governance through
It is.
the role of the citizens.
It is the citizens that decides it.
Yes.
For example, elections are
Comrade.
coming.
Yes.
Elections are coming.
Is it possible?
Excuse me, elections are coming.
The way
I
it
am an
is.
election observer. If I tell you, even in Ekiti, in Anambra elections, the 2015 elections, my
So the
observation
citizens
is
can decide that through the
it is
elections.
the citizens.
That will decide that.
But then
Thank you
this
very
will-
Don't
much.
worry.
Thank
Let me quickly add before I round up.
no,
Sorry.
I'm closing this discussion now.
Okay, good, please. I shall close it.
It's
Let me
closed
give
even.
my message.
Okay, you can give your message.
Okay.
One
Now,
sentence.
yes. My message to Nigerians: good governance is possible, but the citizens must awaken its consciousness.
That's true.
By always imbibing on the true side of the story. Believe in the true story by the government, because whenever government tells us a story that is right, we seem to go behind it to bring another thing. Like, we must believe in the principle and ideology, especially of this present administration.
All right, that's it on the program. Well, Nigeria Today, I want to appreciate Comrade Opoku again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Director of Media and Publicity of Good Governance, Ambassadors of Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you once again. I also like to appreciate Chris Agiri, is the Director General of Flag Foundation, Nigeria. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
I like that
keep
heated
hope
part.
alive.
That shows
Oh,
that
yes.
within the conversation continues.
We must keep hope alive. We must keep hope alive.
Thank
we
you
must
for
not
staying
lose hope.
tuned. Join
We
us
mustn't.
on Monday for another interesting time on the program. Remember, Nigeria Today comes to you every weekday, 7:30 in the evening. And you can also watch this online at youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Blessing Abu. Enjoy the rest of the evening.